So thank you for joining us this afternoon. Can I just ask you to state your name for me and your position?
Yeah, I'm Shelly Asquith. I'm the Health and Safety Officer at the Trades Union Congress.
Lovely. And so just to start off with, is there a maximum temperature for workplaces in obviously the extreme heat that's going to be happening over the next few days?
Currently in Britain, there are regulations for minimum working temperatures, but there aren't for maximum working temperatures. So employers are told to make workplaces at least 16 degrees Celsius, but when it gets to hot temperatures, it just says keep it reasonable. Our position is that when it gets to 24 degrees Celsius, employers should start to take action to cool the working environment. And at 30 degrees Celsius, that should be the maximum.
Okay. So what are a worker's rights during extreme weather?
Well, all workers have a right to be safe and healthy in their workplace, and the obligation is with the employer to make sure that they are. During a heat wave, the employer is obligated to make sure that the workplace is at a reasonable temperature. So again, it's fairly vague, but we say that 24 degrees is when employers should start to take action. And if they're working indoors, that might be things like installing cheap fans, opening windows, making sure that spaces are well ventilated. It might mean relaxing the dress code. So if you've got a uniform policy or you have to wear a suit, saying actually on hot days that's not really necessary. And if you're working outdoors, then things like protective clothing should be provided. We think sunscreen should be provided, and making sure that people aren't working outdoors during those sort of peak hours between 11 and 3 when we know it's the hottest.
Okay, cool. How can employers help their staff keep cool then? I know you've mentioned a few little examples already, but have you got like a set guideline to how employers can help their employees?
Well, it all just depends on the kind of jobs that people are doing, the kind of workplaces that they're in. So there should be a risk assessment, and things like working in excessive heat should be on those risk assessments. If you're working outside regularly, you're already got a 3 times higher likelihood of developing skin cancer. So really practical, easy things that employers should do is provide sun protection, provide sunscreen and protective clothing. And if you're indoors, making sure everybody's got access to cool drinking water, adjusting shifts, letting people have more breaks if they need to, and relaxing things like dress codes.
Lovely. And well, you've answered my next question anyway, to be honest with you, just then. So that was on people who are working outside or in manual jobs, but you just covered that perfectly, really. So finally, what advice do you have for people on how to cope with work over the next few days? Because I know some people cope better with heat than others. For example, I don't cope very well with heat. So what advice would you give to someone like me who doesn't necessarily cope very well with high temperatures?
The best advice I'd always give any worker is to get in touch with their union. And if they're not in a union, then to join one and find out what the advice from them in their particular sector is for working in high temperatures. Find out what the policies are that your employer's got in place. Have they done a proper risk assessment for working in the heat and in the sun? And what are they doing to keep you safe? Because they need to be taking action.
Okay, lovely. And finally, really, have you got any additional advice or comments that you can give to anyone?
I don't think so, other than join a union and stay cool.
Lovely. That sounds great. Thank you very much.